Hey everybody, John Skiba here with the Arizona Consumer Law Group. And in this video, we're going to take it back to the basics, to the fundamentals of what you need to know to be able to win your debt collection lawsuit. So even if you're well advanced and you've watched all my other videos, you need to watch this video because I'm going to discuss some very key concepts when it comes to winning your debt collection lawsuit. But first, if this is your first time here to my YouTube channel, go ahead and click subscribe. That way you'll get notified every time I put out a new video each and every week that'll help you deal with your serious debt problems. All right, let's take it back to the fundamentals. You'll see the football helmets over my shoulder here. I played football at BYU when I was in college, and it was all about, in practice, every day working on those fundamentals to make sure that we had those down so that when we got to the game, we knew what we were doing and we could perform on a higher level. So what made me start thinking about this particular topic is, as far as the fundamentals of a junk debt buyer lawsuit and how to defend them, is one of the comments that I got in one of my videos recently that said, "Can you tell me what a junk debt buyer is?" And it made me realize sometimes I just get rolling in these things and I overlook some of the basics of really who the players are in these debt collection lawsuits. And having a firm understanding of who they are is going to be vital to you being successful in your case. So that's what I wanted to discuss today, is who the players are, what their roles are, and what it is that you need to understand about each of them in order to be successful in your case. So like I said, this is just bedrock stuff. Even if you've dealt with your lawsuit or you're well on your way to trial, you need to understand this because it's going to impact how you approach your case overall. Now, one of the biggest misunderstandings that I see when people come into my law office here in Arizona is the role of the attorney. Now, when you get served with a complaint and the summons, if you look in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to see the names of various lawyers who are involved in the case. Now, a lot of times people think or believe that the law office has purchased the debt from the original credit card or whoever the medical bill, whatever it is, and that they're now suing you trying to collect on that. I can tell you in 99% of the time that's not the case. The lawyers are just hired guns. They've been hired by the junk debt buyer to actually file the lawsuit and process it, get the judgment, do the wage garnishment. They don't have any true ownership interest in it. They have an interest in that they want to win because often they're paid on a contingency where they get money if they collect money from you. But the attorneys generally don't own the debt. So I see a lot of people put a little too much focus on the actual lawyers themselves when really they're just coming to work every day doing their job. The junk debt buyer is the plaintiff. If you look at the caption at the top of that lawsuit, they are the plaintiff. Now, in answer to that comment that I got, what is a junk debt buyer? Junk debt buyers are these companies that go out, they pay pennies on the dollar for debts that have been charged off by original creditors. So if you have a credit card with Synchrony Bank or Wells Fargo or Chase, Bank of America, whoever, after it goes 6 months of no payments, they have to charge that debt off. Now, just because the debt was charged off does not mean that it cannot be continued to be collected on. I've had a million internet fights over this. I have videos on my YouTube channel here about what it means when a debt is charged off, and people just spout all kinds of complete garbage. If the debt has been charged off, they can 100% continue to try to collect on it. It's just an internal tax thing for the lender. They get a tax break for it, and if they collect money down the road, they have to adjust that. But it does not mean that they can't continue to try to collect on it or that they can sell it, which is what the debt buying system is. These creditors like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, they'll package up all these charged off accounts that haven't been paid on for 6 months, and they sell them to junk debt buyers. Midland Funding, Portfolio Recovery, Unifund CCR, Cavalry SPV, LVNV, National Collegiate Student Loan Trust does a lot of the student loans, the private student loans that are out there. So they absolutely can do this. If you don't believe me, just don't pay your debts for 6 months, see it get charged off, and then wait for the lawsuit because it'll happen. So that you need to understand that's what the debt buyer is. And they pay almost nothing for this. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau put out a study that they did a while back on the debt buying industry. They found like Midland Funding, for instance, they usually pay about 4 cents on the dollar for the debt that they buy. But they even found in some extreme cases that debt buyers who were buying debts that were outside the statute of limitations, meaning the statute of limitations had expired, some of them were paying less than a penny on the dollar for these debts. So they don't have a whole lot invested into them. They don't get a whole lot of information or documentation back, and that's why they struggle when they get into trials, because they don't have all the information that they need to be able to pursue their case. So it's important that you understand that distinction between the lawyer who's representing the debt buyer and the debt buyer themselves. The debt buyer themselves, the plaintiff in your caption, they are alleging an ownership interest in the account. They're saying, hey, Bank of America doesn't own it anymore, I own it, and that's why I can come and sue you. The lawyers are 99% of the time, they're just hired. You know, they literally just like me and my clients. They come in, they hire me, I represent their interest in that lawsuit. And so you don't need to put too much focus on the lawyers themselves, but the actual debt buyer is the one that you need to be able to go after. So I hope that clears it up and kind of, like I said, brings it back to the fundamentals of what debt buying is, what parties you need to be concerned about in your case. Though, just having that kind of clear understanding of what's going on, that's going to make it a lot easier to make sure that you're focusing on the right things as you deal with your case. If you found this helpful, go ahead and click subscribe here on my channel. Like I said, we put out videos each and every week that can help you with serious debt problems. Thanks for watching today.